Good morning, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and this is your Shut the Fuck Up. I'm here to say shut the fuck up to everybody out there who is still riding the fence on Donald Trump. Every day from the mainstream media, I see shit like, well, the latest poll says that 50% of Americans won't vote for Donald Trump if he's convicted of a crime. You know, Leading up to the fact that we're stalling all of this, he's stalling all of these criminal, you know, trials, which he actually is. He knows how to work the system, and the system has no choice but to work against him in its own fashion. Okay. But that doesn't stop the American people from using their fucking noggin. Okay. It doesn't. We don't need Donald Trump convicted in the documents case to know what we're looking at there. Okay. Let's get real here. Right? He's already convicted of being a rapist and a defamer again of E. Jean Carroll. We're now watching his first criminal trial, which is not minor, no matter what the mainstream media is telling you or what Donald Trump is telling you. It isn't about just bookkeeping. It's about cooking the books so that he could have a more favorable impression on the American people and not reveal his true lack of character prior to the 2016 election, which does make it indeed about 2016 election interference, no matter how they try to spin this bullshit. Okay? We have all seen the films of what happened on January 6, 2021, because the idiots filmed themselves doing it. We already know they beat the shit out of cops. We already know there were 5 people dead. And no, my God, please, let's stop with the hero worship of Ashley Babbitt, okay? Ashley Babbitt knew what the fuck she was doing when she did it. Just like he knew what he was doing as he winds his way through trials now about where he should be and where he ought to be and how he ought to be campaigning and how he ought to be doing this and ought to be doing that. And then when he gets a day off, is he campaigning or talking to you, the American people? No, his fat ass is out on a golf course somewhere. Let's get real here, okay? We don't need a trial to know that Donald Trump is a man with more than 90 criminal indictments hanging over his head in 4 potential trials, one of which is going on right now, and the others which will be adjudicated eventually, because the stalling cannot go on forever. We've seen it all. We've seen him promise that he will pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. We've seen him replace the national anthem with a song sung by the jailed January 6th insurrectionists. We've seen it all. Okay. We've seen his allegiance to Vladimir Putin as he, conducted his campaign with the MAGA House, who was also in the bucket for Putin, to stall the Ukraine aid so they can just twist in the fucking wind and die. We've seen it all. Okay. We don't need a goddamn trial to use our brains here. We have seen what he has done to women's rights. It's clear. And now we have a massive article in Time magazine where he reiterates what he intends to do to us if he's elected again. It's all right here now. Okay, now you're not having to hear it just from his big fat mouth on the road or read his bullshit on Truth Social. You can read it in an actual bona fide Time magazine article. Can you bring yourselves to do it? I would suggest to you that you get off the meme track for a while and read this. Reading is essential, okay, in this particular world. But in case you need a refresher course on everything he's been saying, yes, he does plan massive detention camps where he'll shove immigrants, and he doesn't care if kids are separated from their families one way or another. In fact, on the southern border, he intends to move back into office and go back to all of the things he was doing before Joe Biden overturned them all. Okay, so the Republican plan for policing the border is cruelty, as opposed to something that's workable. And by the way, he had a plan for the fucking border. This could be all in the process of being remediated right now, had he not put the kibosh on it, because this was actually already passed in the Senate. And then Donald Trump decided he needed it to run on. Listen to what I'm saying here, folks, okay? He already has massive plans. Now, of course, because he floated his, abortion ban, and it's unacceptable to many people on both sides of the aisle. Now he wants to leave it up to the states, and the states should surveil women. They should register so we can track whether or not they have abortions. Does this sound like Gilead to you? It sounds like Gilead to me, okay? It does sound like Gilead to me. So he's trying to walk away from what he did with Roe and leave it on up to the states now. But I promise you one thing: should the MAGA House decide and the MAGA Senate decide that they want to pass a nationwide abortion ban, you can bet your ass Donald Trump will sign that, because that was his plan from the beginning. So he's just waiting for someone else to do the dirty work so he can put his signature on it. And if you think they're done with your rights, ladies, they're not. Okay, they are going after the abortion pill. They're going after your contraception. They're going after the whole ball of wax, because all of this is about restoring women to where they used to be, what their place in society was before we all determined we were actually people as well. Okay, that's not what they want here. There are even people talking about whether women should even have the right to vote. And there are freaking right-wing little waifs out there who are, quote, Gen Zers who are going to save us, out there spewing that shit on TikTok. Now, whether that's designed to divide us or not, I don't know, but they're there and I'm listening. And you should be listening too. You should be reading. You should be listening. You should understand that he is going to do away with civil servants. He's going to reclassify anybody who's not a political appointee so that he can then move them out of those jobs. They can be fired if they're not civil servants. And then he can replace them with people who are loyal only to him. This is the stuff of fascism. And, one chapter of Project 2025 that's getting absolutely no play whatsoever is the chapter on labor, what he intends to do with the labor movement in this country. This is true full-on fascism, what we're talking about right here, giving control and power and eliminating all the restrictions on corporations. They are weakening child labor laws as we meander through the country, just like they're weakening the rights of women on a state-by-state basis. Okay? We have 14-year-olds bussing tables and serving alcohol in some states. Okay? A 16-year-old fell 11 stories to his death working on a construction site. They have kids getting sick in meatpacking plants, working in meatpacking plants, in freezers. We had a child lose his arm on a meat machine, and yet they want to relax all the child labor in this country. They are increasing, in some states, the number of hours a kid can work in the summer from 40 to 50. They're increasing the working hours for students who are even in school. They don't care. They don't care about your children, no matter what they're telling you. They are giving cheap labor. This is what we call cheap labor. In the state of Louisiana, by the way, they voted to take away the requirement that they give youth workers lunch hours. Do we understand each other here? This is slave labor. They're going to use the youth market to infuse the business world with cheap labor that is unprotected. This is the plan here. We're going backwards in time, not forward with Donald Trump. We're going back to the bad old days of this country. And to those of you who say we were better off 4 years ago when he was in office, I say bullshit. We had massive amounts of people of color dying of COVID because he knew that they were at risk in the jobs they were in, which were, in fact, the meatpacking plants. They were sacrificial lambs there. They do all the work, by the way, that the American workers don't want to do. And that was a political opportunity once Jared Kushner pointed that out to Donald Trump. So I'd like to remind all the people of color out there, the Latinos for Trump, what the fuck are you thinking? What are any of you thinking? How much more do you need? You need a trial now to be convinced that this man is a detriment to society and humanity on a national level and on a worldwide level. Wake up, okay? I'll talk to you all later.